Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com. In this video, we're looking at a watch from NOMOS with the NOMOS Club Campus Neomatik 39mm. So in this video and on this channel, we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com. So in this video, what we're gonna do is cover the watch in more detail. Also at the end, look at some final points of consideration. But in addition to that, if you have any further questions, check out the link in the description to the product page where you can learn more, as well as purchase the watch and book a time with one of our dedicated watch specialists as well. But guys, let's jump into the video, take a closer look at this watch. It would be fair to argue in 2021 that few companies offer the kind of value and quality that NOMOS offers within their lineup of watches for the price category. Embedded deep within the culture of values at NOMOS are Bauhaus principles in which form follows function. But aesthetically, the various collections are eye-catching and creative with models that span different case sizes from as small as 33mm up to 42mm. Mechanically though, this is really where I think NOMOS doesn't necessarily get their credit that they deserve, with their own in-house movements with impressive specs and a high level of finishing that really separate them from their competitors in the price range. It would also be fair to argue that their designs and price, not to mention the overall quality, target a younger, enthusiastic type of watch audience. And NOMOS does a good job of creating and manufacturing a value-packed and luxurious watch for different enthusiasts. So today we're going to look at is the Club Campus 39, a newer edition that combines many of the beloved and entry-level aesthetic that comes from the Campus collection while combining that with their automatic in-house movements within. Taking a look at the Club Campus 39 Neomatik on the wrist, we have a case measurement of 39.5mm across with a thickness of just at 8.4mm and fairly large lug-to-lug distance of 49.7mm. NOMOS has a knack for designing and building well-fitting timepieces, and despite the long tapered lugs, the case should have no problem fitting almost any wrist above 6.25-inch wrists, or say 15.9 centimeters for my metric system friends. Although smaller wrist is likely to experience some overhang, on my wrist I was not experiencing that. I would say this case wears probably more true to a 40mm case just given the longer lugs, but I will say there's a bit of an optical illusion type effect with that spring bar and how it's housed within that metal sleeve, and allowing this to almost not show its full colors and extension of that lug to lug, and making it wear, I would say, a little bit more restrained than what that lug to lug might indicate. Still a little bit longer, I would say 40 or so millimeters in terms of an actual case size if you had to put this up against some other competitors. Along the right side of the case at the 3 o'clock, we have a standard push, pull, and sign crown that operates in typical fashion. With this 3-hand movement inside, hand winding is achieved at that first position, and then at the final pulled out point, you then can adjust the time while stopping the second hand in the process, so hacking seconds here. When the crown is screwed up and secured to the case, this watch is going to have 200 meters of water resistance, 20 bars, which is impressive when you consider that this is not a screw down crown, as well as just the overall approach to the design. This doesn't look as sporty as maybe it would indicate in terms of what the dial is really setting forth in its overall approach. In terms of finishing, all the surfaces to the case are nicely polished, including the caseback and the crown. Interestingly, this is one of the first watches that's going to offer up and be fitted with one of their 2 new stainless steel bracelets. This version is very thin and reasonably flexible with interlocking links that feature a satin finish and a sliding clasp to adjust for different wrist sizes. When you flip the watch over, you can see the recesses where the clasp can be securely locked into place. And to slide this part of the clasp up and down, you will need a small flat end of either a screwdriver or a spring bar tool, probably what I would recommend here. On the clip of the clasp, the top surface is etched with the NOMOS logo, which is the extent of any notable markings along the bracelet. But I will say they did a very nice job with executing this, being true to the brand. I think there was a lot of just probably intrigue and interest in having some bracelet options as NOMOS has started to unveil more sporty alternatives to a brand that for the most part has been a little bit more dressy in their approach to design. So to have something like this, I think this really does pair well. It's a little bit stiff in terms of the bracelet. You're not getting any hair pulling, which is honestly pretty impressive considering how narrow those gaps are going to be between those links. But I think they did a very nice job with this. You also have the quick release pins on the back, so if you did want to swap this out for another strap, just keep in mind that there is a bit of a gap between the case and where the drills are in the lugs. Transitioning over to the front of the watch, we have a dome sapphire crystal treated with anti-reflective coating to give a clear view of the white silver plated dial underneath. With regards to the color of the dial, it's a bit of a darker and flatter than most silver colors we're commonly going to see and maybe even be used by other brands. So it's almost as if it's a gray in some circumstances and lighting conditions. It does, though, provide a lovely background for the splashes of minimal color that's going to really shine within the dial elements. Looking at the design of the dial first, we have a combination of Roman numerals and Arabic numerals, along with bold hash markers for a style which is known as a California dial. This style of dial has been popularized by Rolex with their early bubbleback models, as well as some contemporary Panerai references. The hour markers are all printed in navy blue with thin burnt orange outlines. Running along the outside edge of the dial is a gray minute track with 5-minute increments printed in more of the burnt orange color to match the outline. Working back inwards, the NOMOS Glasuta logo is printed in the top half of the dial with gray lettering, while the Neomatik text is just underneath that is printed in more of that burnt orange accent color. A sub-seconds is positioned at the 6 o'clock position with a slight recession into the dial. The sweeping seconds hand of that sub-seconds is going to match the larger pencil-style hands at the center that are going to contain superluminova within that shine with decent incandescence, but not the greatest of quality compared to some other dive watches or, sports watches in this realm. Now, flipping this watch over, this particular variant does have a solid screw-down caseback, which is nearly featureless with the exception of a couple references to the model and the collection as well as the depth rating. There is an ample amount of space in the middle for some personal engraving, and that's one thing that NOMOS does sometimes market with their watches. Underneath, though, sits the in-house manufacturer caliber, the DUW 3001, which sits just at 3.2 millimeters high, including the automatic winding rotor. So pretty impressive, and is really going to make much of what we're going to see from this watch possible when it comes to the dimensions. In regards to this movement, this is certainly one of the more attractive looking finish calibers that you're going to find in the range, although being hidden from view in this instance. And I've been a personal owner of watches with these movements before. They're nice, reliable, and they just look the part. Talking about under $4,000, putting this movement up against pretty much anything else, it's going to shine quite well. And to consider that NOMOS is an independent brand and what they're doing, they also have their proprietary swing system, their own escapement. So there's a lot getting packed within this watch, and the movement is something that I don't believe a lot of people consider. I think that's really why some watch lovers go towards these. I think many people just get caught up in the dial designs and don't look any further within. And really what's on the inside of these watches is impressive when you put it up against, say, the likes of like a Tudor, for example, that's starting to open up their casebacks. You look at the finishing, it's pretty apparent that NOMOS is doing a fantastic job. The Glasuta ribbing, the bridges and rotor getting some fine-tuned finishing, also getting some purling as well, just beneath the balance wheel. There's a lot happening here. You also have tempered blue screws. It just looks pretty upscale. In addition to that, this is being tested at several positions to ensure accuracy. And in regards to the operation here, you're looking at 21,600 vibrations per hour or 3 hertz. Hacking and hand winding, so hacking stop in the second hand when you pull out the crown to the farthest position, and has a power reserve of approximately 43 hours. So now to unpack and looking at this NOMOS Club Campus Neomatik, in terms of the value proposition with this watch, people get caught up in the dial design. I don't think they think about the finish movements from NOMOS and what they're doing as an independent brand and developing their own proprietary calibers, their own proprietary escapements, and what they've been able to do to navigate the ever-changing world of just movement production and what is happening with a lot of Swiss third-party calibers. What they did, took ownership of it, and to develop something that truly does look the part. These movements are fantastic, and I don't think people consider them enough. And where this one's falling to just right around $3,000, put it up against any other movement from a finishing perspective, and it will win. In terms of the rest of the package, there's just the conventional NOMOS type of design style that you're going to get. The California style dial is sometimes a bit of a polarizing concept, so I'll just leave it at that. In terms of the fit and finish, Bracelet is a cool new just avenue that NOMOS is going down, and I think it works really well with their design. Pretty straightforward in regards to the silhouette and architecture of the lugs. A little bit long, so this will probably be best suited for somebody that's probably a little bit towards the medium to larger size wrist, although I wouldn't just be turned away if you're somebody that has a wrist size like myself. You certainly could pull this off. Just have the right expectations. This is going to wear more like a 40 millimeter case. But in terms of where this one is positioned, undercutting a lot of the upper echelon offerings from an Omega and a Tudor, and sitting in a nice range, 200 meters of water resistance, getting some nice Germanic design, and the elements of which NOMOS has really personified as truly theirs in a package like this. It is a bit more sporty. I think if you like the design style of NOMOS, you're looking to get into something that's a bit more contemporary and versatile, this is a great watch to add to your list, as well as getting a taste of their higher finish calibers on the inside. All right, guys, well, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Really would appreciate that, as well as it does help out the channel. Also, if you're in the market for this watch, it is available on TeddyBaldassarre.com. We're a full authorized dealer of over 30 brands, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, also offer a full factory warranty for all the products that we carry, unlike a lot of places online. So if something goes wrong, you don't have to pay the bill for it. We also offer price match. So if you see one of our watches for cheaper at another authorized dealer, just fill out the form. We'll be in contact with you. And again, 9 out of every $10 that we generate goes right back into the content that we're creating here, as well as on our main channel, of course. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.